Okay. All right, welcome back to our September 28th Board of County Commission meeting. We are resuming with our last agenda item of the day, and that is public hearing quasi-judicial number 1. D.R. Horton requests approval of rezoning to plan unit development through a PUD zoning agreement, including a master final site plan for the Preserve at Park Place project. It will be presented by Pete Walden, and it is quasi-judicial, so we'll take ex parte. Commissioner Jenkins.
If I've have any, they've been filed.
Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Campy.
I said hello to the applicant in the lobby.
I don't have any, and they've been filed.
If any of mine have been filed, and do we have return receipts, or was it returned at the LPA?
They were returned at the LPA.
Okay, and Layla, would you swear in the witnesses, please?
Raise your right hands.
Please stand if you're being sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Peter Walden with Growth Management Department. I'd like to start by entering the full agenda item along with a copy of my work history as Exhibit 1. And this is a request by D.R. Horton for rezoning from the existing RE 1/2A residential district to the PUD plan unit development. This includes a PUD agreement with a master final site plan. The project is located on the south side of Southeast Cove Road at the signalized intersection with Southeast Willoughby Boulevard. The subject parcel is approximately 97 acres and has an estate density of 2 units per acre future land use. Proposed development includes 114 detached single-family homes and the associated infrastructure. The resulting residential density is 1.2 units per acre. There is no density transition issues related to the proposed development. Of the 97-acre site, about 59 acres are upland, and there are about 38 acres of wetlands. The Preserve Area Management Plan encompasses 62.8 acres, and the project provides approximately 84% open space. As part of the proposed development, improvements will be made to the intersection at Willoughby Boulevard, including turn lanes and traffic signal modifications. There is an environmental waiver needed to access the site through wetlands. The project has complied with all of the requirements for the waiver, including mitigating the access improvement area by creating additional wetlands as shown on the site plan. An additional requirement will be added to the PUD agreement as a public benefit to the adjacent neighbor to the east. The developer will be required to install an opaque 6-foot-high fence from or near the right-of-way to at least 300 feet south along the eastern property boundary of the site, which is right along here. Development review staff have found the project to be in compliance with the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan and the land development regulations as detailed in the staff report. This matter was heard before the local planning agency on September 16th, and although the LPA voted unanimously to approve the project, there was much debate concerning stormwater management and the traffic on Cove Road. They are hoping that the board will consider a review of the county's stormwater management policies for the Cove Road area and essentially throughout Martin County. And they hope that the traffic concerns on Cove Road get addressed as soon as possible. So with that, staff recommends that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move that the board approve the request for a zoning district change from the RE 1/2A residential estate district to the planned unit development district through the Preserve for the Preserve at Park Trace PUD zoning agreement, including the master final site plan and the preserve area management plan and the access waiver, and also to include the additional PUD language that requires the developer to install the 6-foot-high, 100% opaque fence for a minimum of 300 feet on the eastern property line at the project entrance. And I know that the applicant will take you through the site plan, so I will conclude my presentation and be glad to answer any questions.
Oh, just, do we have a light on over there, Layla?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Hurd, do you have questions for staff?
I do. I'm looking at the environmental statement evaluation, and it talks about the upland area, and it says that it's dominated by invasive exotic Brazilian pepper trees, and the wet prairie, which is substantial, is also dominated 75% coverage of exotic melaleuca trees. So apparently it's a very disturbed site, but I don't see anywhere where and how those are going to be improved.
Okay, maybe I'll let Sean McCarthy, our environmental principal planner, take those questions for you.
And tell me all about the PAMP, because I couldn't find it.
The PAMP was
State-
part of the...
state your name for the
I'm
record.
sorry. Sean McCarthy, Environmental Planner and Growth Management Department. The PAMP was part of the PUD agreement, I believe. And in this document, it does describe the different types of habitats and the conditions of the wetlands. You're correct, but the wetlands in the northern part of the site are heavily infested with exotics. That's where they're also doing the wetland creation in upland areas adjacent to those poor quality wetlands. That area generally next to Cove Road is in poor condition with exotics, so they're going to remove the exotics.
Where does it say that?
I'm just showing that
It's-
this is the view from Cove Road, by the way, that kind of shows the Melaleuca forest and the Brazilian peppers along the road.
It describes those management activities in the preserve area management plan.
I don't know if you want to try and find it.
It's not on here,
Page
and I
down.
can't find it in the PUD document either.
So there's a section here in 6.0 in the PAMP that describes restoration and maintenance activities and exotic vegetation removal. There's also a restoration plan attached to this PAMP that describes how they will restore the wetlands near Cove Road and create the wetlands and replant them with native vegetation.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Hurd, do you have additional?
Those are the questions I have right
Okay.
now.
Okay, then now we'll take the applicant's presentation.
Okay, thank you and good afternoon. For the record, my name is Morris Crady, Senior Vice President with Aceto and Associates. I'm here on behalf of the property owner, which is Via Claudia LLC. It's John Maiucci. His father purchased the property back in the 80s. And also here on behalf of the contract purchaser, which is D.R. Horton. And I do have a brief presentation. And just to give you an idea of the general area, this is a rendering of the site plan. And we're adjacent to Summerfield, and our product type and density is very similar to their product type and density. Just to the east, this is their golf course area just directly to the east of us, which abuts our preserve area in this location. As mentioned, we're at the intersection of Willoughby Boulevard and Cove Road, so we'll be tying into that signal and making improvements to the intersection to accommodate the county's requirements. To the west of us is St. Andrew's Catholic Church in this location. To the even further west is the approved Cove Royale PUD, which was before you, I think, last year, and I think they're proceeding with their final site plans for Phase 1. And then, of course, to the north of Cove Road is the Martin Health Systems Cleveland Clinic campus here, an assisted nursing or assisted living facility here. And over here in this area is Legacy Cove, and again, our product type and density is the same as that project. So we're developing consistent with the surrounding properties along Cove Road. As mentioned, our site is 97 acres. We're allowed up to 2 units per acre. We're at 1.2 units per acre, which is consistent with the development trend in the area. Our access is at the signalized intersection. We're also extending a sidewalk from our project entrance to the Cove Royale entrance, and then if we even agree to an additional condition that if we're under construction before Cove Royale, we'll take that sidewalk an additional 1,000 feet to get the kids to Treasure Coast Academy. So we're building up to 4,000 linear feet of sidewalk to accommodate pedestrians on Cove Road. This is just a larger image of the site plan. And as was mentioned, we're coming in with our only access point is through an impacted upland and wetland area. These are the wetlands that are referred to in the staff report that are 75% infested with melaleuca, Brazilian pepper. There's Japanese climbing fern out there. So it was appropriate and fortunate that we're not impacting pristine wetlands to build our construction or our access to the site. In fact, we're minimizing the impact considerably by building this road on a retaining wall. And so our impact is only 1 acre to create this road, and then we're taking out 1.9 acres of impacted upland habitat. This upland area here, the created wetlands, and they are shown on the site plan. The created wetland areas are 1.9 acres, and again, those consist of impacted upland habitat. We're not taking out any pristine wetlands or pristine uplands to build this access road into the property. Luckily, most of the other wetlands on the site are in pretty good condition, but they're still in need of management. And the developer will spend literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up this site and put it into a state where he can turn it over to the homeowners association. And the homeowners association will be responsible for maintaining those preserve areas in perpetuity. Over 65% of the property is preserved, so we've minimized our development imprint or as much as possible. 84% open space. Again, we're only impacting 1 acre of wetlands to create our access road, and we're we're creating 1.9 acres of wetlands out of disturbed uplands. And we've expanded the buffer adjacent to the state park and increased our upland preserves by 4.5 acres by expanding those areas. And as I mentioned, the PEMP is a critical part of this application, and the number of residents that live here, anybody that buys into Martin County becomes a steward of the land by virtue of the preserve areas that they're responsible for maintaining as part of a property owners association. So the residents that buy into this project will have to maintain these preserve areas, but that will be after they're cleaned up, inspected by the county, and turned over from the developer to the homeowners. And some of those expanded preserve areas that we're talking about, we at one point were proposing to do development within this upland area, but we decided to leave that intact. We've expanded the buffers wherever we could adjacent to the wetlands. We put in dry retention areas that will be vegetated with native wetland vegetation, so they're just not dry retention areas. They'll become functional habitat in addition to stormwater treatment areas. And we're building the lakes to support the project's impervious area, which is only about 15% of the site is impervious. So we're consistent with the comprehensive plan and all the land development regulations. We're compatible with what's been approved along Cove Road and with surrounding properties and the development trend in the area. And we are in agreement with staff recommendation of approval, including the added condition. And we added that condition after discussion with the adjacent property owner, Mr. and Mrs. Manning, who are here today. And they have a 5-acre lot adjacent to where our entrance road is going. And as was mentioned, we had to line the entrance with with Willoughby Boulevard, so we had to pull it all the way over to the property line. But we are, and in order to minimize the impact to this lot, we're, as I mentioned, building the road on a retaining wall. So about 5 feet off of the property, we're going to construct a retaining wall that's going to be about 2 to 3 feet in height. Between the property line and that retaining wall, we're putting in it'll be a hedge of native green buttonwood trees that will be eventually grow to about 15 to 20 feet. And then on top of our retaining wall, which is where our grade starts, we're going to install the 6-foot privacy fence that we agreed to install. That will give them their privacy. It will prevent impacts from our cars entering and exiting the property, and hopefully maintain their current lifestyle. So, and again, this is the type of fence that we're putting up. This is the area that we'll be treating to make sure they feel the least amount of impact from vehicles as possible, as much as possible. Now, their other concern was with drainage, and we did explain to them that all of our drainage is being directed away from their site, with the retaining wall and the curb and the road. All of our drainage is being internal to our project. And David Baggett with EDC is here, and he spent several months with the county staff figuring out the historical drainage pattern in this area and making sure that we're not impacting any adjacent properties. So that was a critical review, and it took quite a while to get through that process with staff, but David did a lot of research, looked at a lot of historical permits to come up with the plan, and he'll go over that in detail if you like. The other concern that Mr. and Mrs. Manning had was access out of their property. You know, they're currently, have a driveway that connects to Cove Road, and we are having to expand and add a lane here, a left turn lane, to come into our property. So, there is a concern with access and out of their property, especially the left turn. There's probably less of a concern with the right turn. They have asked us to provide access to our road, and we're hesitant to do that mainly because of the grade differential and potential unintended impacts caused by our vehicles. Our whole goal there was to kind of give them their privacy, and if we did connect their driveway to our internal road, there's going to be an opening there, and I don't know what the unintended consequences could be. There could be drainage impacts, there could be impacts from our residents. So we're reluctant to agree to that, but I will leave that for you guys to decide after you hear from them, and we'll agree to whatever you think is appropriate. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions. As I said, David's here, and we have some representatives from D.R. Horton here. Unfortunately, our traffic engineer couldn't make it, but I do see that Lucas is here in case you have any traffic comments. So whatever we can do, we'll be glad to answer any questions.
We have questions for the applicant at this time? Do we have folks in the gallery that wish to make a public comment? If you can fill out a speaker form after you're done and give to the bailiff, but come on up, you have 3 minutes to address the public.
Hi, thank you. My name is Mary Beth Manning, and we have been a resident at 2400 Cove Road, which is the adjacent property, since 1988. So it was dirt road at the beginning, right? And now it's become probably the most traveled in the mornings and in the afternoons from 3 to 5. So there's about 15,000 cars that travel that road every day. It makes it very difficult in the mornings from 7 to 9 to exit our driveway. I happen to be born and raised in Martin County, so many of my friends travel that road in the morning, and they patiently wave at me and allow me to, enter or exit. But, it's going to be very difficult with an additional turn lane there. So that is our biggest concern, is an ingress and egress into our property. That this will cause extra hazards for us in coming off of Willoughby into our drive or exiting onto Cove Road to make a left to go to Kenner. Easily access somewhat to go right onto Cove to make it to US 1. It makes it a little challenging, but again, it's a little difficult. So that's our biggest concern with this. As far as drainage, I think that may have adequately identified, some options there. We do have, see a lot when the rain is bad in the very back of our property. We have 5 acres, so all the way in the back could be a concern. Ours is undeveloped at this point. So, I know that in the LPP meeting, they did identify, excuse me, that was, the drainage was going to go off of our property. So, I trust that that's, sufficient in what they've identified. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, can somebody from engineering tell me about the plans for signalization, turn lane? These things were certainly not cemented a month ago. There were promises, but I don't see that they've materialized.
Luke Lambert, traffic engineering administrator. So the applicant is supposed to be constructing all of their required off-site improvements. So they will be adding the mast arm on that signalizes their entrance and their exit, and those are in the construction plans. And then the applicants also submitted their right-of-way use permit. It's okay. And so we're reviewing those plans. So those were submitted.
Okay, should those be listed as a public benefit?
No, that's a requirement.
Those are requirements for their site.
If they're a requirement, that's great. I just don't, at the LPA meeting 1 month ago, it was the traffic engineer said, well, we've submitted plans and design, but nothing has been accepted by the county.
I'm not sure that's the case.
I'm just looking at the
signalization has
LPA minutes, so
been
that's all I
worked
had.
out fairly early. It's been the stormwater that's been the thing that's been taking a while to get worked through, but
I can certainly understand that that's an issue too.
yeah. But the traffic was pretty much early on. I think that was settled and
They
those
needed it to
requirements-
access their site efficiently. They needed to build that fourth leg of the
Okay.
intersection.
Okay, I just need these things to be written down someplace, not just promised. I know that there are good intentions here, and I need to make sure that they're regulated,
So,
enforced.
so there will be a signal at that Willoughby Boulevard intersection in Cove Road.
Correct. So this is already signalized currently. So there's a leg here, and a third connecting the southbound Willoughby, and they will be adding a mast arm here to direct their northbound traffic.
Okay.
And then they are building required turn lanes, so a left turn lane in here for westbound into their site, and they're building a right turn lane for this eastbound into their site.
Commissioner Hurd?
That's all.
Commissioner Smith?
Thanks, Madam Chair. So, Luke, a couple thoughts, questions. First of all, to the folks that showed up, thank you. I thought your comments were, can you all hear me? Like,
Yeah.
it's really weird.
Relaxing voice.
There now, I hear you.
Or soothing.
Yeah, I don't know if that'd be the way I'd describe it, but anyway. We are also in the midst of the PD&E for 4 Lane and Cove, right? Which unfortunately should have been done back in 2017, but it wasn't. So we're behind on that, unfortunately, which has probably exacerbated some of your issues, quite frankly. So have you sort of looked at what happens when this 4 lanes and how this interchange will change again when that construction happens, and what happens when that does?
So the Department of Transportation takes the leads in all of these PD&Es. The funding was just approved, really the fiscal year just started July 1st of 2021. So I'm unsure if they've actually really started that PD&E yet. So the bulk of the funding is in next year, but there is preliminary funding for this year, so they're starting that. They will look at all of those considerations. They're going to be looking at environmental impacts, noise, and then they're going to go through, with a fine-tooth comb, kind of looking through stormwater, and then future needs, obviously.
I guess my reason for asking, look, my guess is the configuration will change again when it's 4-laned.
So,
It's
yes,
not going to stay the same as what we see here today, even with the turn lanes, because you're adding 2 other through lanes, west and east.
correct. The ultimate sections of 4-lane divided highway with bike lanes and a shared use path on it. And just looking at this, I think that the mast arms on the north side of the road are probably in almost their final configuration. It'd be the ones on the south side of the road that would be moving.
Okay.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No. So I'm just trying to leap forward, think forward a little bit relative to the folks that are here. To the conversation about linking their driveway to the intersection, my guess is at the time when this is 4-laned, It'll again exasperate their condition because the turn lane lengths, the bike lanes, whatever else is going to go in is probably going to constrict the boundaries, if you will, even more so. I'm just guessing, right? And so I think it would be helpful to them if they're interested, if that's still something of interest, that if it were me, I think, living there, I think I'd want to connect to it. That would give me my in and out the way I'd want to be able to come in and out versus taking my bets. Do I poke my nose out into traffic and try to get into traffic? But I think when we do it, I think the consideration and understanding that thinking about the future, like what's going to happen when it actually gets to its ultimate configuration of 4 lanes, how do we plan for that for them to make sure that those improvements are done in such a way that that doesn't have to get altered again in 4 years when FDOT finally does, or we come back through and do the 4 laning. So I think to the drainage discussion as well, and I think you touched on this a little bit, Luke, my guess in the PD&E that they're doing, they will look at all the drainage for the full length of Cove. There'll be probably some significant water retention, stormwater issues taken probably into consideration that maybe weren't when this was originally built to the standards that we do today. I am confident that that will get worked on. So we will get, I would hope, further enhancement on stormwater issues or flooding problems. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So I, for one, I don't know what the rest of the board members think, but if the folks that are, if you're kind of shaking your head yes, but if that makes sense to you, for one, I would think that ought to be something that you ought to consider tying into their entranceway somehow, so that because the turn lane lengths and the 4 laning is going to shift, I think, a whole bunch of other issues to your front of your property. And I just think it would be a whole lot safer for you if we did that now versus later. But again, that's me thinking, and if that's not something you all really want to entertain, then we don't have to. But it's just as I'm processing what I'm looking at, that's something I would do. Thank you.
Right. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you go back, Mr. Walden, to the sort of the aerial of the project?
You want the project plan or the
plan that shows like Can we use maybe the applicant's slide,
oh, sure.
color version of it?
That work?
Go.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we are all aware that this is the Cove Road corridor, as the resident had mentioned, has really evolved over many years from what it was to what it is. I agree with her that it is probably one of the main thorough, crossovers from Canner to US 1, in as much as Salerno is and Monterey is and Indian Street is. It's as you're working your way down, it's actually the last one. I know that we have discussed this property and some others over the course of the last decade, and so when I'm reviewing and deciding on what I think about these new type of projects, there's certain things that I have to click in my head. Obviously the first one would be protecting the environmental elements, whether it is native vegetation, pristine wetlands. In this particular case, the wetlands are pretty beat up, so the applicant is willing to enhance them. So that's a plus. The vegetation is more exotic than very evasive, like exotic. So left to its own devices, it'll just continue to strangle anything that is positive on the site. So not only are they looking to, add an element of protection, they're also enhancing what's there. You don't hear often. We had a gentleman this morning talking about the project that the percentage of open space that project was going to have, and they felt that it should be a model for future projects. This has more set aside than the project was this morning. And I thought the project number this morning was legitimate, and this is even better. 68% of the project would be set aside as preserved. That's a good number. We've seen projects where people come in and they're trying like, well, I'll plant some trees. So I like that. And then the traffic issue, which everyone, I remember when I first came into office, the Canner Highway and the proportionate fair share agreements and all these other things that we discussed where everybody was going to have to, any future development was going to have to really address that as an issue. And I think Canner has done that, and now it's Cove Road's turn. Commissioner Smith is correct. This has been a problem that's been boiling up for quite a while. We had set into place, staff and the majority originally, to get this thing going. To get involved with the Florida Department of Transportation is a long, slow train. And we were moving along in the right direction, and then it was derailed, if you will. So we're putting the train back on the tracks and trying to fire it back up, and that will be a process, but it has to be taken into consideration. Other pieces of property along this corridor would be more difficult to negotiate, but you happen to have an intersection, which I think is extremely helpful. And it's not an intersection off a weird little tiny side street. It's Willoughby. So I also check that as an advantage for you. You'll have, enhance an existing signalized intersection, which will benefit you and the project. The next thing, which is also very important for me, is accommodating the existing neighbors. Now, in this particular case, it seems to be a family who has, stated they've been there for decades. So I like the fact that the project has reached out to them, coordinated with them, and accommodated them for some of their requests. If that was my house, I would be asking for the same things that you were asking for. I like that they took the time to come today. It shows that there is obviously a participation, because many consultants and applicants say, well, we've spoken to the neighbors and they're all happy. And we just have to take people's word for that. Well, they're here. Now, to Commissioner Smith's point, when I first heard about, maybe they can tie into your entranceway, to me, that has pluses and minuses. The pluses are obviously you would be able to get onto that and then, access your property through the same entrance at the intersection that your new neighbors will have. However, I don't disagree with what Mr. Crady said, that what are the unintended consequences of piercing your solid boundary from your property onto this one? Now, right off the top of my head, I'm trying to envision, I like the retaining wall, I like the landscaping, I like the opaque fence, because it'll knock down, I don't think there'll be a tremendous amount of noise necessarily. I mean, you live on Cove Road, and so you're not out in the woods. So I don't know if you'll have enhanced traffic noise from the driveway of the new project any more than you have on Cove. But if I were you, I would be concerned if people are exiting the neighborhood and making a right into that entranceway, and all of a sudden they're on your property. Now, they didn't intend to do that, but you don't need accidental. So as Commissioner Smith was talking, I'm thinking maybe you could work that out and put, do not enter signs one way, and you could do your own thing, what? Gate it. Well, then yeah. Okay. A gate. All right. Well, that's a beautiful idea. You have to work that out, but amongst yourselves. I was not thinking a gate, but that's nice. A gate is very nice. So that I'll check that as a neighbor accommodation. The other thing to concern yourself with, which is correct, is that if you had the retaining wall and the vegetative landscaping and the rest of it, no water that's going to be, there'd be a little more engineering design to pitch the road in such a way that it's not coming down your way. The last thing is, for me at least, is the appropriateness of the development for the area. And I think Mr. Crady said that Summerfield is to your east, and what's Trey Bell or Legacy Cove across the street on Cove is similar. The nice part about this, and if that's why, you took it away.
Well, I was going to show the area.
Thank you.
Says Cove Royale is right next door with the same density planned as well.
Okay. So it's similar. It's not like you're creating something, that's really a square peg in a round hole. The last part, if you could go back to that slide, I apologize. It's, to me, one of the most beneficial points of this particular project is the visual impact of this development from Cove Road is nearly zero. The only thing you will see on Cove Road as an existing resident driving through is the entranceway. You won't see, a 500-foot-long concrete wall or houses up behind it. You'll have to drive. So for the people that live in there, it's a beautiful entrance to the neighborhood. But for the existing citizens, it's not going to have much of a difference, visual difference from what's there now, except obviously cleaned up. They're adding wetlands. And then potentially 4,000 feet of sidewalk. I'm glad I'm not paying for that. But it is an advantage because we have had a lot of talk about TCCA and how kids access it and, if they're safe route to school and you're creating a brand new level, high quality sidewalk, I think that is definitely a public enhancement. So with all of that, barring public comment, I would make a motion to approve the project.
Thank you. Mr. Crady?
Yeah, and I think in response to the Commissioner's comments, we are willing to work out an access easement agreement with adjacent property owners. So we'll follow up on that with you guys and address their concern as part of the post-approval. So we will be making a change to the construction drawings to show that after we work out the details.
Is that part of your motion, Commissioner?
Sure, that's under the assumption that the residents are even interested in having that.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
they,
think we want to review all.
maybe they think it through and they don't want it. But if they do want it, that would be part of my motion, that they work out a
It'd be an access easement agreement, because we want to make sure it's just for them and doesn't become a commercial thing in the future or anything like that, you know what I'm saying? So we'll sit down with them, go over the benefits and
I would
make
add
sure they
that.
understand the impacts as well.
I would add that into my motion.
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, and Morris, again, during that conversation, I know you can't, because the PD&E isn't done, and we don't really know what it looks like in the next couple of years, but, given what you would typically maybe design at a 4-lane intersection lit, all
Think
four
about it, right?
quarters, like,
Yeah.
whatever those reasonable sort of distances and accommodations need to be, that it's not a pinch, at the last minute that, oops, we should have gone 10 feet further back or 50 feet further back if that,
Sure.
was in the equation, so.
Understood.
And I would just echo, I won't repeat, but echo, it does check a lot of boxes. The open space is fantastic. The participation with the neighbors, and I think that over time, that access to that intersection is probably going to be far better for the neighbors than trying to, like I think Commissioner Campy said, inch out onto Cove Road. So with that, we have a motion by Commissioner Campy.
Commissioner?
Yes.
And so just a couple cleanups. So I want to follow up, Krista Story, Senior Assistant County Attorney. Follow up on Commissioner Hurd's comments regarding the Preserve Area Management Plan. It is not, the current draft of the PUD agreement does not refer to it as an attachment. We need to do that specifically because that's the intent, that the Preserve Area Management Plan be an exhibit. It was included in the agenda item, but looking back, I didn't see it linked to the PUD agreement, and we can under paragraph 19A, where we talk about the public benefit and talk about the preserve area, that'd be I think a good location to refer to it as Exhibit G. This other issue about the access easement, I need to just kind of understand from the staff perspective, is if that is something that we need to add some language into the PUD agreement, or is it something that is purely a master final site plan issue? I'm just, in terms of documenting that, I don't know.
It sounds like they want to make that a condition of the PUD approval.
Well, but it would be part of the post-approval. Like I said, we're going to revise the construction drawings and show that and get it reviewed and approved by the engineering department. So I mean, the PUD condition is going to be met by virtue of our post-approval submittal. It will be,
Oh.
it will show the access.
So,
If
but
they-
that's not, well, okay, so I think it needs to be codified in the PUD agreement as another part, so we're already adding the special condition, a public benefit regarding the wall fence, that's required prior to the issuance of the first residential building
Here, that's a
permit.
fence with a gate if they want the access.
Well, that could be part of the,
Yeah, yeah.
augment that special condition to include. a gated
This reference regarding the access easement, if requested by the neighbors or somehow will, in capturing that we can capture it, but I want to codify that. Because, we've all had experiences where we don't adequately codify things that were discussed, and we don't want that subject to interpretation down the road. So if that's, so if the motion could include those items, the reference to the preserve area management plan and the additional language regarding this potential access easement.
Okay.
I
But
would
the mo-
agree to that in my motion.
Okay, so you added the attachment to the PAMP and the gate for access potentially
Correct.
as a condition. Commissioner Smith?
And Krista, I think the other thing that needs to be, and whether that's in the agreement or not, it is a, whatever the right word will be for, it's a perpetual easement, like if they sold the property 5 years from now and the new owners had it and someone said, yeah, well, it only called out these folks as having access, it is it would, in my
In
mind,
perpetuity.
in perpetuity, it would be
As
a,
long as it's a residential use.
yeah, as long as it's residential,
Thank you.
that's nice.
We don't
No,
want
no,
commercial.
Okay.
Unless it's a Wawa, and then you'll want your people to be connected, and you'll come back and change that. No, I mean, that would be the idea, that to the folks that have it today, you have access, and if you sell it to someone else to live there, they have access. It doesn't change because there's a new name on the title or something, and a homeowners association 15 years from now says, oh, wait a minute, that's not exactly what we all intended.
No, that's a good point, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll add that as a condition?
I don't know if
That
it's condition,
just-
but just as an
Just as long as there's language in that,
To protect that, to the concept that it runs with the land, so long as it's used for residential purposes, the adjoining or adjacent parcel.
as access.
Thank you.
Is that a second?
You want me to second?
You seconded it.
Did I? Okay. I don't remember doing that, but I'll do it.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Campy? Yes, we have Mr. Crady.
Just to be clear, I would say for one single-family residence, we don't want them selling it and then somebody getting a density increase, putting 10 units per acre there, and all of a sudden we got, a problem.
I would
So-
agree, as long as it goes the opposite direction, Morris.
What do you mean? Oh,
Don't come back with a density increase. and
Okay,
say,
we wanna-
Oh, we think it'd be lovely if we had 50 more units, if we only could do away with that access agreement.
Right, no, we're not going to do that. So you guys understand as well, we don't want, it'd be for just your residence, one single-family home.
Okay.
Okay. Here
All
we
right.
are.
Do we have a motion and then we have a second by Commissioner Jenkins? Can you come to the podium?
Currently, our property is zoned that we could have another residential home on the back 2.5 acres of our property. If we chose to add a home for our daughter, that would then be a problem.
Existing
That would
density.
then become a disconnect.
We don't want a density increase, but they can fall under the
Existing density.
Sorry, could you clarify that? I don't
So
understand.
so you would be able to add one more resident?
We could add another
currently.
resident
So
to
that,
what's already zoned would meet that requirement. Okay, but we couldn't change and put 100 homes. Just kidding, it wouldn't have that, but we would, whatever's currently there and zoned. Okay, I wanted to clarify.
Wait, one moment, ma'am. Commissioner Smith.
There are always nuances to growth management decisions, which all of them will tell you. I have no idea when that lot was split and what the parent lot was. But you can only split it once from the parent lot, correct?
yes, since 1977, yeah.
So it may not just be as simple as you all, after this is all said and done, just so you don't go away leaving here going, I can build another home back there because it's a family member and do so. I don't know that.
Right.
And depending upon what the parent track was, if there was ever a parent track, and when was the lot split done, what year, because there's some silly year qualifications, whether it was 82 or 75.
I need to do my homework before I
Yeah, I
agree.
just didn't want you to walk away with that thought
Thank
process
you.
going, oh, I can now go build my daughter's home out back. You might be able to,
Right.
but there's probably more due diligence to happen with these guys to find out if that's something you could actually achieve under some crazy circumstances.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
But
Yeah,
you're
that's
just
good- good
stating
point.
that any current conditions.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Any additional? Okay, with that, we have a motion by Commissioner Campy, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, with that, it brings us to the end of our regular agenda, and we took commissioner comments, but Commissioner Hurd, do you have any commissioner comments for?
I do have one, and that is, I don't know if it was discussed this morning, but last Friday, there was a big appropriation that came to Florida for some environmental projects, and among them were the approval of a DEP grant that Martin County applied for about a month ago for $10 million for water and sewer in Rocky Point.
Whose district is that?
Mine, which is just extraordinary. And I just have to say that one of the reasons we're very, very successful getting grants, both at the federal level and at the state level, and it doesn't happen by accident. One is we have shovel-ready projects, and another is there are so many grant requirements. There's so much accountability that has to be done in order to continue to get grants, and our staff just does a wonderful job of accountability when we receive grants. Back in 2004, after the hurricanes, we had FEMA grant problems for years and years and years, and we were reimbursed because we kept really good records. So congratulations, staff. Congratulations to Martin County. A $10 million grant is huge.
It is indeed. So, okay, with that, do we need to officially adjourn the regular meeting? Okay, so with that, we're going to move right into our final budget hearings.
Good afternoon
Ms.
again,
Manning.
Commissioners. Jennifer Manning, OMB Director. This is the final public hearing for the budget. And our first public hearing was held on September 14th, where the board had tentatively adopted a budget. So this hearing is to finally adopt the final millage and the budget. And of course, there are resolutions and of the budget totals that are included in the packet. And the budget, it's based on all the approvals that the board did previously. The rollback rate is the rate that generates the prior year's millage, that less construction and allowances. This slide shows all the rates that we have, the rollback rate, the increase over rollback rate, as well as the final millage. I would not read this information because it will be read in all the resolutions. All the millage rates are within the maximum allowable by Florida statutes. There's a total increase of $11 million. 8.6 countywide, fire MSU, parks and road MSU, and District A is 2.4. The next two slides, the capital is 400,000, and the other countywide is 8.2, which totals 8.6. And there's a list of increases, which includes constitutional officers, tax collected fees, tangible personal property, and other, property insurance. As far as ad valorem for fire and stormwater and road MSTU, we have those increases as well as a reduction. That brings it to $2.4 million. So the final millage rates is 6.7934 for the countywide fund compared to FY21, which is 6.7618, a 0.468 increase. And then when you're looking at the total MSG municipal taxing rates for fire, stormwater, and roads, it is 3.4734 for FY22 compared to 3.5152 in FY21, which shows a reduction of 1.189%. The total millage, which excludes the district MSUs, is 10.2770 in FY21. The final is 10.2668, a reduction of 0.099%. The taxable value was at $25.1 billion compared to 23.9 in FY21. The total ad valorem is 226 million compared to 215 million in FY21. The budget total is 526 million compared to 491 million in FY21. Our total employees for the board is 1,086.5 compared to 1,062.5. The constitutional officers is 745 compared to 741. And again, the total millage for FY22 is 10.2668. As I mentioned earlier, that the resolutions are included for the final adoption, that they do not have to be read in full, but you must state the taxing authority, the rollback rate, the percent of increase over or decrease over the rollback rate, and the millage to be levied. With that, my presentation is finished.
Okay, great. Any comments? Then we'll, do you want to take public comment and then Commissioner Smith, if there's any? Anybody wish to make public comment? Go ahead, sir. Come forward and just fill out a public speaker form when you're done.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tim Arthur. I live in Palm City. And
Just the mic. Just speak right into the mic, yeah.
hello, my name is Tim Arthur. I live in Palm City. First time here, very impressive. Thank you for the presentation. I am here because TC Palm newspaper published a government print, it looked like, that our property taxes was going to be going up 7.1%. I didn't see that here.
No, I don't know.
Can I turn that in to you for it to be correct?
Stephanie Murley, Budget Office. We're required to put the total operating budget, which is that 526 million versus last year's budget, to a total operating budget increase of 7.1%.
Okay, because the rate increases were expected, but
No,
not 7.1.
So
Rate
sort
actually
of
went down.
to Follow on Stephanie's, that ad, are you talking about the ad that goes in the paper? The numbers that are put in there are set by state statute, and it doesn't give you the right picture. I don't have a better.
Something to work on.
Well, it's at the state level. Everybody has to publish that. So even though we're showing that you don't have an increase in your overall millage rate, the way that we have to calculate those for the ad does reflect an increase. And you'll hear tonight, but part of it has to do with this rollback rate. And when you hear about the increase in the millage over the rollback rate, that's part of it. The rollback rate is if we went back to how much ad valorem we had raised the year before was constant, and take out the consideration of any new construction. So essentially, they're putting you at base zero.
Anyway, I don't want to take any more of your time.
No, that's fine. And I'm on, my phone number's on your tax bill. You can call me directly, and I'm happy to sit down with you at any time.
Okay, thank you, Terry.
And perhaps, once this is final, we can do some communications to that fact so that those that are residents are confused by seeing that ad,
Yeah, and I'm
then,
part of the confusion. Because I'm curious, I see what the other budgets are for the nearby cities, and this one surprised me. So as a service to my neighbors, I posted it on Nextdoor and it caused a firestorm. So, yes. Yeah, well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So that would be good if there was a story maybe that went along in the paper along with it.
We'll get your contact information, make sure
Okay.
you get it.
Right.
I
Then-
look forward to reading on Nextdoor your recap of.
right?
Oh, I will. I'll be glad to.
You can put that fire out.
I'll be looking.
Thank you for your time.
And where did you say you lived again, sir? In beautiful,
Point Road.
in what town?
Fire Point Road in Palm City.
There you go. I'd like to make sure. our people are recognized.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, absolutely. And Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, so just one little other piece of clarity on that. There's the total budget number,
Yes,
and there's the ad valorem number.
exactly.
And that sometimes, what shows up on your tax bill is the ad valorem number, not the total number.
That's correct.
Yes.
So what could be, I guess, confusing or misleading in the way the state requires us to report it, is you're looking at one number that is not reflective of what's clearly, well, what's absolutely on your tax bill. It's the overall number you're looking at, not, and every time I explain that to anybody, like, yeah, well, but there's this number here and then there's that number. I say, well, focus on the ad valorem number, because that's what
The important one.
comprises what you get in your trim notice, and your tax bill comes out of that number. If that's helpful.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Smith, would you like to read the resolutions?
Yes, ma'am, if you're all ready.
Okay.
Okay. Madam
Take it
Chair.
away.
The first item for approval is item A, Taxing Authority, Board of County Commissioners countywide. The rollback rate is 6.5122. The percentage of increase over the rollback rate is 4.32. The final millage rate is set at 6.7934.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item B, move approval of the Taxing Authority Board of County Commissioners countywide fund total, $215,439, or $49,073.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of item C, Taxing Authority District 1 MSTU rollback rate is .0794. Percentage of increase over the rollback rate is a reduction of .50. The final millage rate to be set at .079.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of item D, which is Taxing Authority District 1 MSTU fund total $300,000.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move item E, Taxing Authority District 2 MSTU, rollback rate .1059. Percentage of increase over the rollback rate is a reduction of 1.04. Final millage rate to be set at .1048.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of District 2 MSTU, fund total $215,000 even.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of item G, Taxing Authority District 3 MSTU rollback rate, .059. Percentage of increase over the rollback rate, a reduction of 1.36. Final millage rate to be set at .0582.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of item H, Taxing Authority District 3 MSTU fund total $208,000 even.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of District 4 MSTU rollback rate 0.0632, a percentage of increase over the rollback rate, a reduction of 0.95. Final millage rate to be set at .0626.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Approval of item J, Taxing Authority District 4 MSTU fund total $200,000 even.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move item K, Taxing Authority District 5 MSTU rollback rate, .0669, percentage of increase over the rollback rate, a reduction of 1.05. Final millage rate to be set at .0662.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Move item L, Taxing Authority District 5 MSTU, fund total $250,000 even.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move approval of item M, as in Mary, Taxing Authority Special District A-61 Hutchinson Island MSTU, rollback rate .2034, percentage of increase over the rollback rate 21.63, final millage rate to be set at .2474.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move approval of item N as in Nancy Taxing Authority District, Special District A-61 Hutchinson Island MSTU, fund total $392,250.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item O, Taxing Authority Fire District MSTU, unincorporated rollback rate 2.5951, percentage of increase over the rollback rate 3.41, final millage rate to be set at 2.6835.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Madam Chair, move item P as in Peter, Taxing Authority Fire District MSTU, unincorporated, fund total $57,063,993.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Madam Chair, move item Q, Taxing Authority Countywide MSTU, unincorporated stormwater and road maintenance, rollback rate .5865, percentage of increase over the rollback rate 2.59, final millage rate to be set at .6017.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item R as in Robert, Taxing Authority Countywide MSTU, unincorporated stormwater and road maintenance, fund total $10,091,972.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Move item S as in Sam, Taxing Authority MSTU Parks Recreation, rollback rate .1901, percentage of increase over the rollback rate, a reduction of 1.00, final millage rate to be set at .1882.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, move item T as in Tom, Taxing Authority MSTU Parks and Recreation, fund total $3,471,042.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item U, non-taxing fund, general unincorporated fund, fund total $5,699,368.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item V as in Victor, non-taxing authority permit and, building and permitting, fund total $9,108,000 even.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item W, non-taxing fund impact fees, fund total $3,837,326.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Move item X, non-taxing fund special revenue, fund total $21,613,298.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item Y, non-taxing fund grants, fund total $567,457.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item Z, non-taxing fund, other debt service fund total $10,590,913.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item double A, non-taxing fund other capital projects, fund total $11,982,768.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item double B, non-taxing fund utilities enterprise, fund total $90,157,455.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item double C, non-taxing fund solid waste enterprise, fund total $40,700,323.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item double D, non-taxing fund airport enterprise, fund total $2,266,213.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item double E as in double Edward, non-taxing fund golf course enterprise, fund total $2,119,598.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Move item double F, non-taxing fund internal service funds, fund total $34,187,622.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, move item double G, non-taxing fund trust, fund total $125,000 even.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, I believe the last one is item double H, non-taxing fund community redevelopment area trust, fund total $5,904,251.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Thank you.
With that, all right. And so our next upcoming meetings are October 5th. We have a regular meeting, and October 14th, we have a joint meeting with the City of Stuart School Board and the Village of Indiantown. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.